Hello, Timberwolves fans. Join the explosion of Timberwolves basketball once again here on Timberwolves Explosion episode number 16. Today is Saturday, January 31st, 2009, and this is the second show I've done today. I did Brave the Wild episode number 10 earlier today, so yeah, you'll probably notice both shows popping up on thesportstuff.com and iTunes. It is a pleasure to have you with me once again for this awesome show, Timberwolves Explosion. I encourage you iTunes listeners to visit thesportstuff.com and please do sign up on the message boards. All you have to do is click on the button that says TSS Boards in the upper right-hand corner of thesportstuff.com. That is how you can interact with us podcasters. Vote on our polls in the podcast section or just in the NBA, NFL, whatever section, whichever you prefer. There are sections for every sport, every show, and shucks, even video games and politics, whatever the heck you want. Please do join. It is 100% free and 100% fun. It is also a growing community, and sportstuff.com is an awesome website and a growing community also for Timberwolves Explosion as the ratings increased by 120% this week. That absolutely rocks, and I thank all of you for joining aboard. Great to have you. Please sign up to thesportstuff.com as mentioned. And please tell a friend. And let's bring some more listeners to this show, as the more, the merrier. Also, speaking of the more, the merrier, TimberwolvesPress.com. TimberwolvesPress.com, your one-stop source for Timberwolves news. Just an outstanding website. Nice enough to put a link to my show on thesportstuff.com, to this show, Timberwolves Explosion, at the bottom of the website. And those of you that may have joined this show today via TimberwolvesPress.com, thank you very much. Welcome aboard. You guys are awesome. Along with those of you who may have joined from the Facebook group, Palladino Live Productions, from Facebook. Yeah, from those of you may have joined from there as well. Thank you very much. Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard, number one. I had to. But, well, today there is some positivity, mostly positivity, and then a little bit of negativity at the tail end. But hey, we played some pretty tough teams at that point in time. I mean, there's really not much you can do about that. And this is a young developing team. They're not a 55-win team, 60-win team trying to win a championship. So they're developing. Not everything's going to be perfect. Well, with no further ado, we're going to take a quick break. We are going to get into those games. And, of course, before we get on the break, I'm also going to mention we'll get into some more talk about possible Mike Miller trades. We'll talk a little Al Jefferson and Kevin Love, how they're not too happy right now with the lack of selection in the All-Star weekend. We'll get into that very shortly. So, again, with no further ado, we'll be right back after this. Here on thesportstuff.com, get on board the Viking ship with Purple Mafia. We will talk about the new Purple People Eaters and the best running back in the NFL, Adrian Peterson. This team is ready to make a move forward. Purple Mafia is available on thesportstuff.com along with iTunes and MediaFly. Simply download and listen to the most honest and passionate Vikings coverage. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion, episode number 16. A reminder for iPod users, and also do check out Purple Mafia, a just awesome show right now. The ratings have exploded. I am very thrilled with that. Minnesota Vikings podcast, Purple Mafia. Check it out. Sportstuff.com and iTunes. All right, well, let's get on to these game reviews, shall we? Well, I left you off on Thursday the 22nd, episode number 15, so that means New Orleans is our first game. The Timberwolves played at home last Friday against the New Orleans Hornets. That was a thriller. That was a very, very fun game. The New Orleans Hornets looked like the better team early on, pretty much, especially early in the first quarter. It looked like they were going to kick our butts. They took about a 10-point lead at one point, I believe. Yeah, 10-point lead. But Timberwolves just kept slowly easing back in. I'm like, man, we're going to win. We're going to win this game, aren't we? My friends Paul Tuniverse, Kenneth, and Antonio were in attendance with me watching this. Not in person, but in my studio, you can call it, I guess. You know, the place I do the show, basically. Yeah, you get the idea. Sean Marks, man, a journeyman. Sean Marks started at center in this game. That's interesting because there's, West did not play in this game. David West. Ellie started also for the New Orleans Hornets. Crazy. I mean, what kind of crazy starting lineup is this? Rasul Butler also at shooting guard. Very interesting. But go figure. James Posey was huge for the Hornets late in the game. That was crazy. But I'll keep that quiet for now. I'll get back to this. The Hornets maintained a 5-point lead by halftime. The Wolves and Hornets traded off 26 points in the second quarter. It was like just a virtual tie. Chris Paul, amazing like always, but not perfect. Missed some big shots down the stretch. Stojakovic had a couple threes in this game, 17 points. But Randy Foye was just magnificent. How about this? 24 points, 5 rebounds, 8 assists, no turnovers for Randy Foye. That is very Chris Paul-like, folks. Notable, except, that was just an awesome game. And I'm not going to compare Foye to Chris Paul. I'm sorry for even saying something that might have sounded that way. But, man, he had a huge game on this night. It was awesome. 4 of 8 from three-point range. That'd be a high percentage. 4 of 3, huh? 4 of 8. That was just awesome, man. Randy Foye really coming into his own at this particular time. And I'm going to say it again. Timberwolves' success hinges on the play of Randy Foye. Randy Foye. Now, it's not going to happen every single game, but long-term, in the main frame of things, Randy Foye is the X factor for the Timberwolves. Sebastian Telfair, to me, now he also had 8 assists, 10 points, had 4 turnovers. Now, Telfair, in the past, versus Randy Foye, had a much better assist-to-turnover ratio, and that's great and all, but, man, I'm going to tell you again, now, I had a friend wonder why I was saying Sebastian Telfair can't shoot, because he can't. Sebastian Telfair can't shoot at all. 2 of 6 from the floor. He did make 2 3-pointers, so he'll make a 3 here and there, as he did 2 of them in this game, but the guy can't shoot. 2 of 6 overall from the floor. I don't like watching him shoot. I mean, most of his baskets come from slashing and, laying the ball out, just getting around somebody. I believe he had crossover or something, some type of aggressive attacking the basket and laying it in off the freaking glass, I hope, as that was a problem with Telfair last year. But that's the good part with Sebastian, is slashing. I don't want him shooting anymore. I can't do it. Jefferson, huge again in this game. Kevin Garnett type of numbers, minus the assists anyway, 24 and 14, what Garnett used to do here in the day. 10 of 19 from the floor, good for over 50%. The Wolves made 26 of 34 free throws in this game versus only 11 of 13 for the New Orleans Hornets. Good thing I haven't called them the Charlotte Hornets yet. That's pretty awesome. Wolves attempting 34 free throws in this game. That was a big part of it. The Wolves were attacking the basket, and that's what counts. Telfair making all 4 of his. Jefferson 4 of 5. Foye 6 of 7. Smith, Greg Smith 5 of 7. Mike Miller, well, all he really does is slash and pass at this point, and he rebounds. That's good. Made some really nice passes in this game. Good for 5 assists. Mike Miller wasn't horrible in this game, but he's not the Mike Miller that a lot of people remember. The hot shooter from the outside. Not that guy. Rodney Carney, explosive again in this game with 15 points. Just flew to the basket, hit 3 of 5 3-pointers. This guy, huge on this particular night. Unfortunately, as the games go on, a lot of these guys start to disappear a little bit, and that's too bad. Hopefully it's something that won't be a problem. Kevin Love's playing time diminishes a bit from previous nights. Only 22 minutes, 11 points, 5 rebounds in this game. But, hey, he did what he did, and he was 5 of 6 from the floor. That counts big time in my book. As in the past, Kevin Love's shooting percentage not the best. But down the stretch, Randy Foye, ultra clutch. And, just beautiful thing to see. When Foye hit the first 3, that was great. Everybody's excited. Like, here we go, baby. The Wolves are in business. We're up by 4 points or so. I believe it was 3 or 4. I can't remember exactly. It was a week ago. But then Randy Foye, when Jefferson kicked it out to Foye one more time for another 3, Jefferson put his hands up in the air and Foye drained. Oh, just what a sight to see. You could just see the confidence and the camaraderie and the chemistry on this team develop, and it was a beautiful thing to see. Foy and Craig Smith, chest butt. I mean, it was just chest bump, That was beautiful to see. I mean, this team believing in themselves right now, and to see Jefferson and Foy looking like a franchise player duo, like Garnett and Marbury were supposed to be at one point in time. That is why this team is having success, is Jefferson and Foy are becoming something like that. I mean, I'm not going to quite say they're at that level yet, but hey, that was why I saw this team winning 35 games at the beginning of the year. That is why, because I believed that Jefferson and Foy had that kind of talent. I ripped Foy mightily early in the year because I thought he had a lot more talent than he was showing. So that is the reason. It's not because I doubted him and thought thought he never had any talent. Of course he had talent. That is why I was for the Brandy Foy and Brendan Roy trade. Will Foy ever pass Brendan Roy? Very hard to say at this point in time, but I'll leave my point there as stands. Now, of course, that victory was after losing to Utah, so that's one win in a row. Now the Wolves go to Chicago, or play Chicago at home, against Brian Cush's club, the Chicago Bulls. That's right, the Chicago Bulls. A team that used to be a great dynasty in the league, not quite that the last 10 years, but you get the idea. Now, in this game, the Chicago Bulls took a 20-4 lead. I mean, just the whole time, and it was at 16-4, or 6, and it was like 12-2, it was like 10-0. What was going on here? It was pretty scary, but then I turned over and said, you know what? I looked and said, you know what? Wolves are going to come back and win this game. We're better than Chicago right now. We're better than Chicago right now. I mean, that was kind of a goofy thing to say, probably, especially with the Wolves down 20-4 in the past, just like a month ago, you would have said, yeah, right. This team's going to get their butts kicked. They're going to lose 109-88, not win 109-108. Because the Wolves do win, but I'll get back to that shortly. 20-4, but then all of a sudden we started to score slowly but surely. Jefferson just kept scoring all night. Tilfer and Foy, this was not their night overall in the shooting side of things. They both played over 41 minutes in this game. Foy, Tilfer, and Jefferson all played about 41.5 or 42 minutes in this game. Just a playing frenzy for these guys. 3 of 10 from the floor for Telfair. Again, can't shoot. Only 1 turnover, so that was cool in that sense. But then Foy, 2 of 11 from the floor. His jump shot disappears. Only an 0 of 5 from 3-point range. And now Telfair was the one with the turnover problem. 6 assists, 5 turnovers. But he made up for them with 3 steals. Made up for some of those turnovers with 3 steals. The story of the night, though, Big L Jefferson, absolutely with 39 points, 16 of 29 from the floor, even made 7 of 10 free throws. Now that's only 70%, but hey, he attempted 10 free throws. That's good, as he attacked the basket all night. As the Bulls had no answer for Big Al on this particular night. It was his night, along with Kevin Love, with 19 points and 15 rebounds. The Bulls power forwards Joakim Noah and Tyrese Thomas had nothing against Jefferson and Kevin Love. They got their butts kicked in this particular game. Rodney Carney had one more extremely good game, 5 of 6 from the floor, 3 of 4 from 3-point range, good for 13 points. Very exciting game for Carney down the stretch as he started to pick it up as the game rolled on, and the Wolves went from being down by a ton to all of a sudden, shucks, we're actually not doing too bad all of a sudden. Interesting. Now Chicago led 30-19 after the first quarter, but it's like, hey, we're only down by 11, not by like 16. There's still a chance. The Wolves shave off another 5 points in the second quarter as they go to the locker room with a score of 55-49. It's like, I believe right now. I think this team's in striking range. They waited through the long, boring halftime. The Wolves only shed another point, winning 28-27 in the third quarter. But at that point, the Wolves only trailed by 3, and in a very low percentage fourth quarter, teams missing shot after shot in the fourth quarter. The Wolves, though, able to tie this thing up, holding the Bulls to only 15 and making 18 points, and that's what counted most. Is again Jefferson, one big play after another, along with Rodney Carney, and the overtime belonged to the Timberwolves, Kevin Love and Al Jefferson, as they were able to defeat the Chicago Bulls. It was a beautiful thing indeed. The Timberwolves defeat the Bulls and win the game 109 to 108 in overtime, just by a little teeny bit. Though I will say the Wolves got awfully lucky in this game, and I mean really lucky. Really lucky, as they gave the Chicago Bulls, I believe it was 11 seconds to go. They're only up by 1, the Wolves, by the way. But then Derrick Rose barely misses it, and then Gray had the ball rim out, and the Wolves were able, and Jefferson, was able to knock the ball far away enough to kill off the last couple seconds on the clock. I mean, the Wolves got so lucky, as the Bulls just flat missed an opportunity to win the game, on those last couple plays. Just a missed layup and a putback. The Bulls probably should have won the game, I'll say, with the way the Wolves defense didn't really do a great job there at the end. But hey, a win's a win, and that's the way things have been going for this Minnesota Timberwolves team at this particular time anyway. I will also note Joakim Noah with 7 blocks in this game. So it wasn't all horrible. Joakim Noah made them miss a few times at least. But hey, the hotter team won. The hotter team. I won't even say the better team. The hotter team won this game. Sorry, Brian Cush, we have swept you for the year. Sorry to say, but man, that can't be too sexy, getting swept by the Wolves. But yeah, neither one of our teams have had a great run the last couple of years until now with the Wolves, somewhat. We're not going to the playoffs or anything, but we're having a lot of fun. It's a back-to-back game. The Wolves play the Milwaukee Bucks the next day, January 26th. Now the Bulls game, of course, Sunday the 25th, so Monday the 26th. We go from here to Milwaukee, so not that much travel. That's okay. Not the toughest back-to-back ever. And the Wolves win another back-to-back. As in 4 back-to-back games, the Wolves have swept 3 of them. They had a 1-1 not too long ago, that Utah one. The Wolves lost to Utah. But, 3 of the last 4 back-to-backs the Timberwolves have swept. Now that tells you they're on fire, folks. Milwaukee Bucks game, though, this was kind of a slow but steady, kind of a struggle type of game, basically. A defensive kind of game. Again, the Wolves winning 90-83 on this particular night. This is where Rodney Carney all of a sudden goes from the hot shooter and all to cold as ice. 1 of 8 from the floor, 1 of 7 from three-point range. Now, don't start shooting like Rashad McCants, Rodney, because we all remember those lines, 1 of 9 from three-point range from Rashad McCants, and my famous "Take a hint, Rashad" would come out last year and earlier this year. That drove a lot of people crazy with Rashad. I don't think Rodney Carney will be like that, but that line, it just gives me a bad memory. It really does. Randy Foye, solid in this game. Not great. Solid. But really the hero on this particular night, the consistency from Al Jefferson was a big part of it. 10 of 20 from the floor, 23 points, 3 steals, 2 assists, 10 rebounds for Big Al. Not bad at all. But really, when you think about it, it's kind of like a run-of-the-mill game for Big Al, Not going to take him for granted or anything, but is run-of-the-mill. The hero of this game down the stretch was Ryan Gomes, who had no points, I believe. Or he had almost no points in the first half. Most of his points came in the second half. He had 5 points in the first half, explodes in the second half, and really got the Wolves going in that third quarter and late in the fourth. As the Wolves outscore the Bucks 27-17 in the third. The Bucks outscore the Wolves in the fourth, because the Wolves had a huge lead for a while there, but the Wolves do hang on, and that's what counts. Ryan Gomes hitting a huge 3 down the stretch. And, man, it was a good thing. 2 free throws also late in the game to ice things. And it was just not 2 free throws. He hit a 2-pointer late in the game to ice things. He was the hero. The last 5 points of the game went to Ryan Gomes. And it was cool. Kind of a new hero, at least for one night. I haven't really seen Ryan Gomes as a clutch guy. Just kind of a consistent guy. But he was clutch on this night. He also held the top plus-minus for the game. Or actually, no, Craig Smith is the top, Ryan Gomes was a +10, Smith a +12. But yeah, 22 points, 8 rebounds, 6 of 10 from the floor, 3 of 9 from three-point range, 7 free throws, all 7 for Ryan Gomes. Huge game for him, one of his best games of the year, and it was a joy to see indeed. Nobody really majorly stood out for these Milwaukee Bucks. No more Michael Redd, as again the Wolves run into another team that lost somebody important. Michael Redd out for the season the previous night. I believe it was multiple torn ligaments in his knee for Michael Redd, and that unfortunate indeed. Though a lot of guys got to play in this game, as 11 players played in this game, folks. 11 players, including rookie Joe Alexander, who is emerging, looking pretty good. Francisco Elston, he's okay. Or Elson, with his 9-rebound night. But nobody majorly stood out in this game at all. This team, their best player is Richard Jefferson in this point in time, and he was 3 of 15 from the floor, 0 of 5 at three-point range. You're not going to really get much. You're not going to win a game when, Richard Jefferson's playing like that, and he's your top scorer. Ain't going to happen. It was Big Al Jefferson is the star now. And that was indeed a beautiful thing. Now we'll go quickly to Detroit, as I'm kind of rambling on a bit here. January the 28th. This was Wednesday the 28th against Detroit. The Timberwolves looked pretty good for quite a while in this game. But you could see things kind of start to take a turn for the worse. It looked really good, though, for 3 quarters. It really did. Really good. The first quarter, when it was 22-22 at the end of the first quarter, is like, hey, cool, we'll be all right. We'll be all right. We're going to beat Detroit. They're kind of a team they're not meshing well, despite they have a lot of veteran talent on that team. But, it's just not working out. Their team has kind of not been the same since Chauncey left, and Iverson is not somebody I'm personally a big fan of. I think he's a selfish player, and he's not about the team. He's about himself. That's my opinion. Any of you can complain to me all you want. PaladinoLive@yahoo.com. Go ahead and email that if you have the guts. No. But, Wolves take a 52-50 lead into the locker room. It's like, I think we're going to win. It'll probably go down to the wire, but we'll pull it out. Like Foy will hit a big shot, or who knows, maybe, or maybe it'll be Jefferson or Ryan Gomes again. It'll be all right. Detroit shaves off just one of those points in the third quarter, just a bunch of back and forth pretty much in that third quarter. The game stays very tight, but then in the fourth quarter, something changed. All of a sudden, Detroit started to pull away in this game, and Rasheed Wallace started hitting three-pointers and started hitting fadeaways, and the Wolves weren't answering. They just weren't answering. Foy's jump shot, again, like Foy's starting to struggle big time at this point in time. Only 6 of 4 from the field. Telfair 4 of 6 at least. That's okay, but he did get 5 personal fouls. Just couldn't keep up with Iverson down the stretch. Iverson or Stuckey, either one of them. Same with Foy, 4 fouls as well. This was just not the Wolves' night. It just wasn't. Jefferson made some nice plays, only got 6 rebounds. That was a huge problem in this game. The Wolves couldn't rebound down the stretch. It got frustrating. It really did. They couldn't make some easy layups either. I mean, Mike Miller made an awesome pass to Kevin Love, and instead of going up hard and jamming the thing, he did a weak little layup and it rimmed out. It's just, come on. Now, I'm not going to really rip them too bad, but come on, that's 2 points the Wolves could have used later in the game. But, there was a lot of that in this particular night. It was a young team getting beat by a veteran team that just had the mojo, especially Rasheed Wallace with a freaking 25 points, 10 rebounds, 5 steals, including a very key steal late in the game. Allen Iverson's one steal, though, was probably the killer of the night when the Wolves were already down by 4 points. It was or was it 2? I can't remember exactly. Ryan Gomes was the man inbounding the ball, and I was thinking, okay, whatever you do, don't throw it in Foy's direction because Iverson's got position on him. He's going to steal it. I just know it's going to happen. What does Ryan Gomes do? He throws it that way. And what happens? Iverson steals the ball, knocks it off of Foy, and, or was it Telfair? I can't remember exactly who it was. I apologize. I'm not perfect, and neither are you. No, but either way, what counts is Iverson was able to get possession back to Detroit, and I knew we were screwed at this point in time. That just Pissed me off. And Rasheed Wallace, again, could not miss down the stretch. Just son of a gun, could not miss a shot down the stretch. And you just knew we were screwed. Even Antonio McDyess had a pretty big game. 6 of 11 from the floor. He had a big shot down the stretch as well. 14 and 10 for Antonio McDyess. That just was very frustrating indeed. Very frustrating. Kevin Love, though, I will admit, had a huge game. 17 point, 10 rebound, 4 assists. Kind of like a young Garnett right there. You know, that's kind of what Garnett did when he was about 20 years old. 17, 10, 4, you know. Not bad. Not bad at all. Mike Miller only shot the ball 5 times. Not much going on, but his passing was phenomenal in this game. He made some really sweet passes. He should have had about 8 assists. There were a couple of missed layups down the stretch that he set up perfectly. And, as I said, not the Wolves' night. Just not the Wolves' night at all. And we'll just have to move on from that. The Wolves then get stuck now. They're going to play the LA Lakers on Friday the 30th. They're going to play the Celtics tomorrow. Boy, the schedulers are, they are they are pretty mean people. Keep putting the Lakers and Celtics back to back for the Wolves. You know, not back to back nights, but back to back games. Andrew Bynum, who has been on an absolute tear of late, including a 40-point game about a week ago. Oh, he only had 27 points and 15 rebounds in this game. He was all right. He was okay. This game was 132-19, and no, this did not go to triple overtime. It didn't go to double overtime. It didn't even go to overtime. This was like 1980s basketball right here, where it was up and down the court. Lots of exciting basketball indeed. Randy Foye and Jefferson, unbelievably great games, along with Kobe Bryant and Andrew Bynum. Also had huge games. Even Gasol, 21 points, 9 rebounds. Kobe had 30. He was huge all night. Only 1 of 7 from 3-point range, so Kobe had a weakness in the night overall. But, man, Jefferson with 34 points, 13 rebounds, 4 blocks. Foye, 27 points, but he shot the ball way too many times. 8 of 20 from the floor, not good enough, not good enough. Gomes was 5 of 15. Some players were just taking too many shots in this night. Shucks Telfair, 5 of 13. The Wolves only shot 43% in this game, yet still managed to score 119 points. Kevin Love fouled out later in the game. He had 14 points and 9 rebounds. Not bad. And Mike Miller again with another 6-assist game. That's pretty cool. But, he made all 3 of his shots, but he shot the ball only 3 times in 31 minutes. Hopefully, at least he made his shots. Hopefully he can continue to do that and maybe start shooting the ball a little bit more. Or then they can set up some more 3-point shots for him. Something's got to give somewhere along the line. We're going to talk about Mike Miller very shortly after the break here in a second. But this game, very tough for the Wolves as the Lakers just exploded. It was a fairly close game in the first half, but then the Lakers explode in the second half. Or it was kind of close in terms of the Wolves, when were down by a lot, fought their way back in it. Then the Lakers explode in the third quarter, take a pretty solid lead, and it was just kind of a high-scoring back and forth fourth quarter. The Wolves couldn't make any stops in this night whatsoever. The Lakers were destroying the Wolves at every single opportunity down the stretch. It was just nothing we could do in this game. Nothing we can do. And Andrew Bynum is looking like an athletic version of Shaquille O'Neal right now. He's looking really good. And it's pretty exciting. The hot-tempered Andrew Bynum, who likes to say, "Give me the bleeping ball," or at least he did a few years ago on the YouTube video. Pretty cool. You should check that out sometime. It's entertaining, at least. And the 36-9 Lakers pound the Wolves. The Wolves, again, could not make any stops in this game. Not any. I mean, look at the amount of points each quarter by the Lakers. 33 in the first, 31 in the second, 36 in the third, just a demolishing. 32 in the fourth. Demolition, man. Demolition. The Wolves are like melted butter in a frying pan in this game. Nothing. No defense. Well, I'm going to call that the game review at this point in time. I'm running a bit long. There's been a lot to talk about, so this will be a little bit longer. I'm going to call it a quick break, and we'll be right back with some Wolves talkers about Mike Miller. Here on thesportstuff.com, we're toughing up on Brave the Wild with Palladino. Join me, Palladino, as we brave the Minnesota Wild Hockey Club on our way to the playoffs. We're available on thesportstuff.com and iTunes. The boogeyman Derek Bugard says you'd better listen or he just might drop the gloves. Call up your courage and brave the Wild with your buddy, Palladino Joey. And we are back here on Timberwolves Explosion, episode 16. A reminder for iPod users, and again, do check out Brave the Wild, Minnesota Wild Hockey Podcast. Do check it out, sportstuff.com and iTunes. All right, with no further ado, we're going to quickly get into some more Mike Miller talk, as in the Star Tribune. The headline is, as trade deadline nears, rumors over Miller swell. Yeah, I don't think this is going to go away, folks. I really don't. Some people are saying there's no chance Miller will be gone. Other people are saying there's a pretty good chance. And now they say, already, Timberwolves veteran Mike Miller's name is getting tossed about coast to coast. One news report says New Jersey might target him, as we remember that last show. Another, though, says Cleveland executives have kicked out the possibility of making him the last puzzle piece to getting LeBron James a title before he opts for free agency. The only problem with this is, though, there's no mention of who the Wolves would get back from Cleveland. Somebody made a comment about Anderson Varejao. Why do we need Anderson Varejao? Why? We have Kevin Love, we have Al Jefferson, we have Craig Smith, and Ryan Gomes. Why? I don't care about Anderson Varejao. I don't know. I don't know about that. I would hope we can get something. Maybe I couldn't even tell you what we'd get at this point in time. Let's get Wally back. What the heck? He expires this year. Get Wally Szczerbiak back. Maybe keep him with a young, keep him with a cheaper contract next year or something. That's about what I would do. Their salaries are fairly close. You could try to work something out. And no, it's not because I think Wally's going to carry the Wolves to the next level. It's because expiring, and it'd be kind of cool to see him back, I guess. There, that'd be about what I got to say about that. What the heck, what the heck. Mike Miller now has a quote, or it also, before I get to that, it says, and, well, it just might be starting. If Miller's shooting slump and his reluctance to shoot continues, that means the possibility of him getting traded. This is my 9th year in the league, and I've been on the trade block at the deadline every year, I think, said Mike Miller. My internet's acting funny here. I take it as a compliment. If other teams want your services, that's a compliment. I don't give it a thought. I don't expect anything to happen. And, they always say that. They don't expect anything to happen. So, yep, the whole trade talk just got diffused. It's all over, folks. No, probably not. Who knows? Kevin McHale also says the same lame thing that I don't like very much right here. This is one thing I don't like, what he says. Hey, he's very seldom struggling, rebounding, and moving the ball. Yeah, but that's not his job as much as it was shooting, though. Struggling? I want him to shoot more. It's okay. He'll take and make a lot of big shots. I saw Larry Bird go through shooting slumps. If Larry Bird is entitled to a shooting slump, I'm sure Mike Miller is. I get that, but, no, don't do that, Kevin. Please don't do that. Don't do that. I'm sure Larry Bird went through shooting slumps, but not like the way Mike Miller is. And, yes, I know some people are going to say Mike Miller was a borderline Olympian, as he was he was there. And Larry Bird is a lot bigger name than Mike Miller. He always will be. There's a reason why. Larry Bird did so much more. Now, I know he's not directly comparing him to Larry Bird. He's just saying, hey, if the best shooter ever basically can go through slumps, we know Mike Miller can too. But, I don't know. The shooting slump has been almost the whole season, though, hasn't it? Or something. I mean, it's not even the shooting slump. It's the lack of go get 'em. It's the lack of catch and shoot. Just catch and shoot. Why isn't he catching and shooting? That's what people used to drive people nuts about Wally Szczerbiak. Always putting the ball on the floor. Mike Miller's a lot better handler with the ball and a lot better playmaker than Wally. But still, catch and shoot. You'd be more valuable doing that than only doing this pass and kind of slash approach. I just don't get it, man. I just don't get it at all. Now, in ESPN ESPN.com report this week estimated there's a 65% chance Miller will be traded by the February 19th deadline, and quoting no sources, said Miller reportedly has been miserable in Minnesota. Maybe, maybe not. Here's what Miller has to say about it. I haven't heard that one yet. It's interesting that I haven't heard I'm miserable. It's interesting that I haven't heard I'm miserable. People are going to say what they want. And I'm back home and enjoying myself. I'm happy where I'm at. We're winning games, and that's all that matters to me. Now, I agree. I don't think he's miserable. I think that I think that something has changed with his approach to the game for some strange reason, and it mystifies me. Really, it really does. It really does. Now, it's not like what happened with Mark Parrish and the Minnesota Wild under Jacques Lemaire's overly defensive system, where I'm sure Mark Parrish was miserable. That's not going on under Kevin McHale. Whitman, well, they all might have been miserable under him here with the Wolves, but that's over. So I'm not sure what to think. I'm really not sure what to make of it. One other quick note, though, before I call it a close here. We're going to have about another 40-minute show, which I hope you guys don't mind. I love this team a lot, and that's probably why these shows are a little bit longer than some of the others. And, well, Al Jefferson's not going to the All-Star game again, folks. He's not going to the All-Star game. Shaq is going, averaging about 17 points and 9 rebounds a game. Now, I know Shaq absolutely draws lots of interest from fans across the world. I love Shaq. I really do. I think he is an entertainer. I love what he's brought to the game over the years, but that isn't fair, I don't think. I really don't think it's fair. Shucks, even Vince Carter isn't there because he's kind of getting, a little bit older, and, you have younger guys like Devin Harris, kind of stealing a line from Rusty there. As, his all-star is Devin Harris from the Nets, and Rusty, of course, crossover podcast. Sportstuff.com, Rusty and PMAC. But that bugs me. That bugs me because not only is Shaq going, but so is David West. I was ticked off that David West was going last year. I really was ticked off about that over Al Jefferson. He's going again over Al Jefferson. Why are David West and Shaq going in over Al Jefferson? The Wolves, now they're saying how, it's because they're not a winning team. The Suns are, and the Hornets are, and blah, 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 blah. Well, the Wolves were 10-3. 10-3 in January. So Al Jefferson has something to do with that, I hope. I hope he's showing some value and getting some recognition. So, give him a little teeny, tiny bit of credit, folks. A little bit. Come on. A little bit. I don't understand why he's not going to the All-Star game. Al Jefferson, though, has said he's already over it. He figured, I knew I wasn't going to go anyway. I'll get my chance. And McHale's saying the same thing. Al will be at many, many more in the future. Don't worry about it. I get that, but my goodness. I know if Kevin Garnett were here in Minnesota and he was 23 years old and averaging 23 points and 10 rebounds a game, that he'd be in the All-Star game. I know it. If Kevin Garnett were here and had the same exact numbers, because he's got that goofy personality that attracts a lot of people. I don't know. Maybe Al Jefferson needs to do more goofy stuff. Maybe he needs to catch every practice shot that somebody throws up in the air after the whistle or something. Maybe he needs to start doing that more. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it. I'm irritated with that. Kevin Love was also irritated because he was not chosen for the rookie-sophomore game. Kevin Love was dropping some BS bombs in the locker room, saying that he thinks it's just BS, that he's not going. And I agree with Kevin Love as well. Marc Gasol is going over Kevin Love. So there's another kind of a lame choice, just like David West. Now, Marc Gasol and David West are both good players, very good players who probably deserve to be there in the big frame of things. But over Kevin Love and Al Jefferson? I don't know. You guys may disagree with me out there, and that is your opinion. Speaking of agreeing and disagreeing and opinions, I want you guys to vote on thesportstuff.com. And today I'm not going to do a poll. I'm just not, because I didn't prepare for one. I'm just not going to do it. I don't really have anything I want to get into right now other than should the Wolves trade Mike Miller? That was last week's poll. Well, 100% say yes. So I guess people agree that I think that he should be traded, and I'm one of the people that voted yes, as you probably imagine. And we have a response from Clippers UK, Gavin, host of Clipper Talk on the sportstuff.com and iTunes. Great guy, very, very cool guy, and very good show. He also has a team that hasn't had as much success, Minnesota and the Clippers not having the greatest success ever. But yeah, he makes a quote here. I think you should trade Miller, but trouble is, it's the worst time to trade him as his value is so low at present. As mentioned in another post, watching him play against the Clips was painful. He looked so bad. I agree, Gavin. I reckon you should keep him for the rest of this year. Try and shop him by giving him some good minutes and see if he can get some rhythm back to increase his trade value. Now, that's a really intelligent take right there by Gavin. I mean, I understand what that means exactly. It's just like a stock. It's like you bought Northwest Airlines at $20 a share. Oh, crap, gas prices went up through the roof, and now they're $8 a share. It kind of sucks selling at $8 a share. Then again, that was a really poor analogy by Northwest Airlines. That's never going to go back up. But you get the idea. Let's say it was something that is going to have more success at some point in time than it is right now. Yeah, like say the gas prices just went down again with oil, right? The last couple months. So you think maybe the stock will go up, more profitability, just like you got to believe Mike Miller's stock is going to go up at some point because his shooting touch will come back. The only problem is, though, his basketball culture seems to have changed for some stinking reason, and I don't know why. He's not an aggressive shooter like he once was, and I don't know why. It can't be age. He's 28. He's not 35, so I'm not sure what's going on with that. But great take, Gavin. Awesome thought there. It's just like buying high and selling low. I mean, you give up O.J. Mayo to get Kevin Love and Mike Miller. I mean, O.J. Mayo, who may really change the culture over there in Memphis, and I think he will. Not sure what's going on. So, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah, like maybe the best we'd get for Miller right now is like an expiring contract or a draft pick like Stromile Swift or Wally Zerbiak. Well, yeah, that's not quite the best return value, but that might be what the Wolves do. We're going to have to wait and see what happens there. I'm going to call it a show about as long as last week, so, whatever, that's cool. I'm going to wish all of you another great week. Hopefully some better success for the Wolves. I don't expect it tomorrow against the Celtics. Enjoy the Super Bowl as well. Let's hope for a winning week for the Timberwolves as positivity will grow indeed.